Good evening, everybody. On behalf of Ladies Study Group Kolkata, I will welcome you all to a very special session with Shantanu Moitro on the topic Melody in Life. I invite Shantanu onto the screen.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Welcome to Ladies Study Group Kolkata and thank you so much for giving your time. Shantanu is a national award-winning composer having scored epic films like Porinita, Munna Bhai, Three Idiots, Pink, and the recent Gulabu Sitabu. He is a traveler, author, and a raconteur. He is also the World Wildlife India Ambassador for Human-Wildlife Coexistence. In 2016, Shantanu Moitra took an epic journey for 100 days across the Himalayas above 14,000 feet. Shantanu, the screen is yours now.
Thank you, Mrs. Roy. Thank you so much. I just want to say that I'm always nervous before anything like this, and especially because of this technology. I can't see anybody. I don't feel anybody. There's a screen. I don't know whether somebody's listening or not listening, but I guess we all have to adapt. We are going through trying times. We have been through horrible times. But I think one of the reasons why I agreed to do these conversations is to always kind of share with my audience that if we feel that we are going through a challenging time, you have no idea who some of the other people are going through, especially in our country. And because I've traveled so much, I have seen those incredible stories. And today's idea of this conversation is to share with you two such stories with you, which has moved me, which has educated me, which has taught me. And importantly, I think I genuinely believe music does not happen in instruments. Music does not happen in a concert. Music does not happen when you're sitting in your house and playing your CD or a cassette, or now your Bluetooth. I think music happens in life. And I have been very, very fortunate to hear those incredible music in people's stories, their lives. The first story I'll share with you is exactly 20 years back. It's exactly 20 years back. I had just finished an album with Shubha Mudgal called Apke Savan. And a very fiery human rights activist called Mallika that kind of approached me. She used to work for Ford Foundation, and she said that, Shantanu, I want to do an album about women's dreams and aspirations. And there's a very interesting thing she said. She said, all of us, we're dealing with subjects like abuse, domestic violence. I want to talk about it. And the truth is, I didn't really know this subject well. But my instinct told me that the stories behind what she's setting out to do cannot lie in music. It lies in life. And I need to travel. I need to travel to some far beyond places in India. And while the search was on for such a back and beyond place with an incredible voice, I encountered an incredible voice called Rukma Bai. So this story is about Rukma Bai. She's a Padma Shri. She's one of the greatest folk voices from Rajasthan. So 20 years back, this idealist Shantanu Moitra kind of left his house with a backpack and a microphone to record this woman of the desert. I had got to know that she stays in Jaisalmer, And I went there. 3 days I searched for her, I didn't find her. And in my head, there was this idea that she's such a renowned singer. She's a nationally awarded folk singer. There must be a house. There must be a address. But the more and more that I was searching, I realized that she didn't have a house and there was no address. Till one of the days, one chai wala in a dhaba told me, "अरे वो जो गाती है ना हमारे राजस्थानी लोक संगीत, आपको यहाँ नहीं मिलेगी, वो मिलेगी बाड़मेर में." So that's the area, which is roughly a 1.5 hours drive from Jaisalmer. And I asked him कि कहाँ मिलेगी. He told me, आप देखते रहिए गाड़ी के बाहर, आपको कुछ टेंट दिखेंगे, वहीं है वो. I just couldn't believe what he just told me, that this lady is in a tent. And anyway, I set out. And then around an hour and a half, we were being attentive, and true to what the chawala told me, we found a cluster of tents. And I got down. It was a hot afternoon, I remember, desert afternoon, you have to understand. And I asked somebody outside, "रुकमा भाई यहाँ रहती है क्या?" हाँ जरा आगे जाइए. So I went there. And this is the first impression I have of this incredible singer. She's sitting on the ground. She's playing with, I think, a grandchild. Dark face, wrinkled with life and its many experiences. Chewing tobacco. Spitting with fire. And I went and stood and said, "Namaste." She looked at me and said, "क्या चाहिए, शहरी बाबू?" I said, मैं आपके आवाज़ का बहुत बड़ा फ़ैन हूँ, मैं रिकॉर्ड करने का, मैं गाना वाना नहीं गाती. That's what she told me. गाना वाना नहीं गाती. So my driver come guide told me कि यहाँ से चल पड़ते हैं, वो नहीं कहेगी. And I said, like, I've come all the way here. What do you mean? I'm not going to say no, accept this no. So I said, रुकमा जी, अब आज नहीं तो कल मैं इतना दूर से आया हूँ, तो मेरी क्या गलती है, मेरे को नहीं गाना आता. So I, अच्छा बच्चू बोल, पानी पिएगा क्या? Suddenly she quickly changed from this aggressive person to somebody who's caring, saying, "You want water?" She gave me some pani and gourd, charpai, a mud hut. She's on the ground, sitting down. I'm still trying to understand this, that she's one of the celebrated singers and what is happening here. And then I think she calmed down a bit and she said, "देखा ना माहौल यहाँ पे, किसको गाना गाने को पसंद हो, कौन सुनेगा गाना यहाँ पे, किसका मन चाहेगा यहाँ पे गाना गाने के लिए, मेरे को कहीं ले जा तू, फिर गाती हूँ मैं." So she wanted to go somewhere away from this माहौल. I said, "Okay." I said कि मैं कल आता हूँ और फिर हम चलते हैं यहाँ पे कोई अच्छे से जगह पे, फिर गाना सुनते हैं. She said, "मैं तू कहाँ जाएगा, अभी होटल जाएगा, होटल में रहेगा तू, रुकमा बाई रहेगी यहाँ पे, तो दोनों का मेल कैसे होगा, तू मेरे पास रहे." It's a challenge, actually. She was challenging me. She's saying that, "Let me see if you can stay here in this kind of abject poverty." And I was like, unknown place, unknown people. What am I? Am I doing the right thing? My instinct is telling me that I should stay here, but my rationality is telling me that it's not a good idea. In fact, my driver was telling me again कि भाई साहब यहाँ से चलिए. Something called inside, that call comes from inside, and I said कि नहीं, मैं रहता हूँ यहाँ पे. So fortunately, I carry my sleeping bag and things like that. So I was there. She was very happy, genuinely happy. The story of her life started unfolding as in the evening we settled down. The lovely desert sun settling. The sand dunes were lit with this orange hue. Rukmabai had lit a fire. She was cooking. And she was saying कि क्या है बेटे कि मेरा जो बेटा है वो ना लेबरर है, वो इंडो पाकिस्तान बॉर्डर बना रहा है, तो जहां जहां पे भी बॉर्डर बनता है हम वहीं पे रहते हैं. So basically every 2 months as the border is being built, they also keep on shifting. But the truth is she didn't have a home, and that's where she stayed. I don't know whether it occurred to you that this incredible asset of our country actually didn't have a house. This is what the apathy of a folk singer is in our country. And here I was, this urban kid who wants to do this ideological thing. And when I saw this, it just shook me up. Late night, I fell asleep. Desert night was beautiful, lovely skies. School, early in the morning, she woke me up with a cup of tea. And that's when I realized that she doesn't have legs. She's a polio victim, so both her legs are not there. From the knee down, it's just a stump. And that's why she was sitting on the ground. So she has a small roller in which she kind of travels short distances. But the attitude was like a rock star. Like that fact that I don't have legs, the fact that I'm poor, the fact that I live on a roadside, none of this mattered to her. She was this rock star. She wore a new sari for that day. Very happy. She's saying, "Chalo chalte hain bachcho. Main tere ko ek badhiya jagah le jata hu." So kind of her son helped her put in the car. We all sat. The car went another hour to a beautiful sand dunes, layers of sand dunes. And that's where we kind of transported her to a sand dune. Sand, by the way, is a very good conductor of sound. There's no reflection, so the recording quality is very good. But it was beautiful. It was lovely blue sky, sand dunes, and Rukma was sitting there. And she just sang her heart out, and she sang one of my favorite songs, Kesariya Balam. So if you get a chance later on after this talk, go to YouTube and kind of type Kesariya Balam, Rukma Bai, or Shantanu Moitro, and you will get this. You'll hear what I had recorded there. But this is not the story. The story is that after this, I did kind of 4 or 5 hours of recording, and you have to understand by this time we're kind of bonding, we're becoming friends, there's a trust. And I was really shaken up seeing the economic condition of. So the story of Rukma Bai is that she's a Manganiyar, which is a musical Muslim tribe from Rajasthan. Now the local law says that women usually are not allowed to sing, but if you are a Manganiyar, then you're allowed to sing. If you're part of the clan, then you can give performances, and it's okay for you to be an artist. Rukma Bai's husband, many years back, decided to marry Rukma Bai's sister. This may sound a little complicated, but here again, repeat. Rukma Bai's husband married Rukma Bai's sister after he was married to Rukma Bai as a second marriage. So by law, Rukma Bai became an outcast, which means she couldn't sing. That's the tragedy of this woman, which is why Man Ke Manjire became a potent album with her voice, because this is exactly what the album was about some of the situations that women face in India. And we're not just talking about Delhi, Calcutta, Bangalore. Of course there are issues here, but who cares about the issues in that part of Rajasthan? But there was not an iota of sadness or remorse or nothing. She was a rock star. we went back. While we were going back, I remember in the car, I offered Rukmabai money, and good money, kind of money which would take care of her for at least a year, because I think I owed it to her. And I remember I told her, and we were going in the car, and said, Rukma bhai, ये पैसे रखिए आपको आप इसको ज़रा बचा के रखिए, ये आपको 1 साल चल जाएगा. And I remember Rukma bhai suddenly got very upset. गाड़ी रोक, मेरे को बाहर निकलना है. I said, like, क्या मैं what mistake I did? So telling me, बच्चे, मैं हर रोज आज के लिए जीती हूं और तू मुझे कल के लिए जीना सिखा रहा है. क्या होगा अगर कल मुझे आदत पड़ जाए कल के लिए जीने की? फिर जब खत्म हो जाएगा सब कुछ, फिर रुक्माबाई क्या करेगी? रुक्माबाई इसलिए जिंदा है क्योंकि वो आज के लिए जीती है. कल उसने नहीं देखा है. कल की वो चिंता ही नहीं करती है, कल की वो परवाह नहीं करती है. ये जो पैसे दिए तूने, आज होगा जश्न, आज होगी पार्टी, आज हम पूरे गांव को बुलाएंगे और मजा करेंगे, कल की देखी जाएगी. What an incredible philosophy that I have lived my life living for today. Don't teach me how to live for tomorrow, because I don't want to get into the bad habit of living for tomorrow. I remember getting down the car by the time Hassan went and called people. There was ghost, there was alcohol. Later on, realized that Rukmabai was alcoholic. That's how I think that the pain was kind of drowned out there. She sang a lot. I could see the pain in her eyes, but that's the only way you can make out. And there was music. That night, I kind of moved on to the hotel. Before I was leaving, she said, "Tu शहर में रहता है ना?" And Rukmabai pretty much doesn't understand the concept of Delhi. For her, the entire world outside her tent is the शहर. So tu शहर में रहता ना? I think मेरे 2 दोस्त हैं, मेरे कुछ दोस्त हैं, उनको तो नहीं पता मैं यहाँ पे आ गई हूँ, because I told you not, they're shifting from every 3 months they shift. तो वो ढूंढ रहे होंगे, अगर ढूंढे तो कहाँ मिलेंगे रुकमा भाई, तो उनको जरा मेरा पता बता देना. I can't even begin to explain to her the concept of address and how do I get in touch with her. But somehow I didn't want to ask all these questions. She was in this bubble of hers, of a fantasy, and I didn't want to break it. And I thought that, whoever they are, anyway, I don't know them. So I said, sure, Rukmabai. And now comes the punch. Punch is this, that from a portly, she took out a photograph. And the photograph had 3 people standing behind Rukmabai. And Rukmabai is obviously sitting on the ground. On the left, in the middle is a lady, and on the right there was another person. All 3 looked familiar to me. I couldn't place them, but all 3 looked familiar. I turned the photograph around, and in that photograph was written that, "Dear Rukmabai, not only you are an amazing singer, but you're a life teacher with the most beautiful heart. Thank you for enriching us with your life." It's signed by Sophia Loren, Eric Clapton, and John McLaughlin. I will repeat the names: Sophia Loren, Eric Clapton, and John McLaughlin. It just blew my mind. Because here I was judging her, and pretty much the whole idea was BBC London had done a program with her. These 3 had come to this place, picked her up, got her on a flight, had taken her to London. They did this world music program with her, and they came back. And I thought I was doing this some great thing by coming from Delhi to record her. That's the lesson of life. It taught me a lot. I came back completely blown in my head, and you have to understand I was just starting my music career. I tried to stay in touch with her. I did that two, 3 times. We exchanged letters. That time, mobile phone was not the in thing. I organized, with the help of Mallika, a wheelchair with an altar in wheel, so that she can kind of go in this desert sand more easily. And then I lost touch. And I think 4 or 5 years back, I got to know that she had died. She had died of a liver cirrhosis. Obviously, it was alcohol. But she lived her life. I saw that. She lived her life. And she, for me, is right up there as an artist. As you can understand in this story, the story is not about music, the story is not about life, but the story is also about music, and story is also about life. As I started this conversation by saying that music does not happen always in an instrument. Music does not happen always in a concert or at your home playing a system. Sometimes music happens in people and their stories. And this was one of the stories. And I remember when I came back that time, my very, very good friend Prasun Joshi, I told him my experience, and we were doing a song. And there was one imagery that was very beautiful, in which Rukma Bai, the first day, was trying to light the fire, cooking fire with a chula. And Prasoon had written this beautiful lines. सने हाथ माटी की खुशबू लिए, रची धूप माथे में बूंदे लिए. जाने कितने बाजू तू बाजुओं में लिए, कितनी राहतें अपनी छांव में लिए, तेरी बांसुरी से चूल्हे जले. He took that imagery of as the bansuri, and that was a beautiful line that Prasun wrote. तेरी बांसुरी से चूल्हे जले, तू ये साज छेड़े तो जीवन चले, फसलों में बालियां हैं तेरे कान की, सने हाथ माटी की खुशबू लिए. I'll just sing a few lines that I composed. It obviously happened once I met her, to tell you how these things happen to me first, and then the song happens. This is really a tribute to Rukma Bai, one of the greatest artists that I have encountered. सने हाथ माटी की खुशबू लिए, रची धूप माथे पे बूंदे लिए, जाने कितने बाजू तू बाहों में लिए, कितनी राहतें अपनी छांव में लिए, तेरी बांसुरी से चूल्हे जले, तू ये साज छेड़े तो जीवन चले, फसलों में बालियां हैं तेरे कान की, सने हाथ माटी की खुशबू लिए, रची धूप माथे पे बूंदे लिए. So this was the first story that I'll share with you, which has happened to me 20 years back. And the second story which I'll share with you is something which happened 2016 when I was doing the 100 Days in Himalayas. Like when Mrs. Roy was giving the introduction, she had said that I have done 2016. So the whole backdrop was that I was kind of really fried with this Bollywood thingy, and I just wanted some time off and travel, and not be with music, just be away from music. And as I traveled along with my good friend Ritiman, one of the great photographers, wildlife photographers in the world, I saw and embraced a life which was, I'd heard about it, but I'd never encountered it. Which is why I think they say that Himalayas is probably one of the last greatest bastions in the world. It's of course the beauty, the peak, the snows, and this, but I think more important than that is the people. That's people what define this Himalayas. So this story about this very interesting lady I had met called Nani in Arunachal Pradesh. Nani is this firebrand, 30-something woman, loves to party, loves to have fun. She loves Bollywood songs, loves choreography. In fact, she has a small dance group, and whenever any tourists come, they perform. And obviously, you can understand when I went there, she was like, "Oh my God, Shantanu is here, and we must." She kind of sang, danced on Zubi Dubi, and she was vibrant. So there's another part of the story is when Nani was young, and one of the dreams was that she wanted to have 10 children. Arunachali, small town, small village girl, wanted 10 children, and she conceived, and she kind of fed the whole village. Everybody knew how much Nani loved children, and now she's conceived, it's going to happen, so great feast and all that. And then something unfortunate happened, that she had a miscarriage. But Nani being Nani, she didn't said, okay, no problem. Next time. In another few months, she conceived again. She had a miscarriage again. Third time, when she conceived, the doctor said that, Nani, this is not a great idea, because now your life is in danger. Don't do this. She said, no, there's no way. God knows how much I love children. So this is going to work out. Don't worry. Third time she had a miscarriage. And she was devastated. She was disillusioned. She was angry with God. And she kind of shut the door, and she didn't eat for a few days. And suddenly became she collapsed. This vivacious, vibrant mountain girl kind of just collapsed. She couldn't take it. That Nani is not going to have children? Is that what the God's great design is? A month has passed by, and Nani's pretty much cut off herself from everything. Suddenly she hears a child crying outside the house, and somebody's beating the child up. So she kind of gets out of the house and sees this neighbor. There's a family, and there's a stepmom who's must have had an argument or something, and was kind of enveloping this child, and she came and protected him and said, don't, कोई नहीं, मैं साथ में रहेगी मेरा, आज खाना खाएंगे, फिर घर भेजती हूँ मैं. Now, just to give you a little backdrop of Arunachal Pradesh, multiple marriages is pretty much a norm in Arunachal, and mostly all the firstborn kids land up as drug addicts or alcoholics because there's nowhere to take care of them. It's a thing in Arunachal, and so now coming back to the story, so now Nani spent the day with this kid, and she felt good. In fact, when it was time for him to leave to the neighbor's house, he was a little reluctant to go, and Nani saw that. So Nani said, don't worry, you stay the night tonight with me. She went and asked the parents. The parents are okay. Yeah. They have other kids. Who the hell cares for one kid who's not there? One day became 2 day, 2 day became 3 day, and pretty much this kid started staying with Nani. And word also spread around that, Nani ke yahan pe ladka bhi, they're not using the word adopt, but saath mein reh rahe. Then one fine day, one village person comes and says that in so-and-so village, there's a house where a child is being abused by an alcoholic father. Something happens to her. She rushes there. She tells them parents that, I can take care of the kids because I have a proper school and everything. She goes and gets that kid. So now it's 2 kids. And now she starts getting a new life, getting a new purpose. And gradually, the word spreads around that anywhere where there is a child who's suffering, and mostly abusive homes, parents are not there to take care of them, Nani starts getting them home. And her husband is saying that, how do we house such children? But that is the junoon of Nani. That same Nani is back. She said, नहीं नहीं, दिल में जगह नहीं चाहिए, बाकी तो हो जाता है. And it's amazing the kind of stuff that I heard when I went there, that Nani would go to so and so place and parents would say, okay, we'll leave you, but what is the facilities you have? And she would say, that somebody else's house who doesn't even know that is our kindergarten school. She's lying, by the way. That is the dining hall. That is the place where the dormitory. She owns nothing. But just to get the kid home and protect them from that abuse, she starts doing this. The village sees the intention of this woman, and village sees how these children are being protected by her. They come together to actually build a big room with bunk beds. It becomes a school. By the time I went there, Nani had 100 children. Incredible. This lady had 100 children, funded completely by her and her well-wishers. Never asked for any money from anybody. And very happy. So when I went there and was talking to her, she was saying, शांतनु साहब, हमारे यहाँ पे तो स्कूल क्लास 8 तक ही है, उसके बाद बच्चों को या तो बड़े शहर में जाना पड़ता है या उनके माँ बाप ले जाते हैं. जब भी बच्चे जाते हैं तो मैं कभी नहीं रहती वहाँ पे. Husband is saying that whenever a child has to leave the school and move on to the next phase, she always pretends that she has some work in the kitchen or she's cleaning something. She has never seen any one of the kids go. She said, how can I? And it's such an amazing coincidence that when I had gone to her house, that year, a young cadet in police who was from Nani's school had just been commissioned, and he had come to pay his respects to Nani. She's telling me in the evening, Shantanu साहब, भगवान पे बहुत गुस्सा आया था, पर अभी पता चला कि मेरे जो 10 बच्चों का जो मेरा सपना था, भगवान के पास तो इससे बड़ा सपना था. 100 बच्चे, 150 बच्चे, 200 बच्चे. अगर मेरे 10 बच्चे होते, मैं कभी देखती कहीं और. And it's amazing how this woman took 3 miscarriages. Think about people that you and me know, and how we look at disaster, how we look at a tragedy. And post-COVID, of course, we're dealing with that. But how positivity, purpose, and a path, incredible faith that I need to make a difference, kind of rescued Nani from that depression and made her who she was. And now when I went there, it's a vibrant community with hostel facility. There are a lot of other teachers who have come part of it. And I'm going to end this talk today by saying that, when we create music, when I create music, especially for movies, it's for a scene, it's for a purpose, it's for a character. But we have no clue and we have no idea that the same song can become something for somebody else, which is beyond your imagination. To make the point, Nani's, these 40, 50 kids that day, all stood in a line. And most of them from abused homes, ranging from class, age 5 to 15, 16 years old. And when they sang the song, सारी उम्र हम मर मर के जी लिए, एक पल तो अब हमें जीने दो. I had tears rolling down my eyes. I had never envisioned that this song can be sung by an abused child this small, the entire meaning of this word changes. सारी उम्र हम मर मर के जी लिए, एक पल तो अब हमें जीने दो. And Nani nudged at me because she saw my moist eyes. He said, रोना नहीं है, यही जिंदगी है, हंस के गाते हैं. So let's, wherever you are, just sing along with the song. सारी उम्र हम मर मर के जी लिए, एक पल तो अब हमें जीने दो. सारी उम्र हम मर मर के जी लिए, एक पल तो अब हमें जीने दो. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Give me some sunshine, give me some rain, give me another chance. I wanna grow up once again. बचपन तो गया, जवानी भी गई, एक पल तो अब हमें जीने दो. बचपन तो गया, जवानी भी गई, एक पल तो अब हमें जीने दो. ना 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 ना. सारी उम्र हम मर मर के जी लिए, एक पल तो अब हमें जीने दो. I left Arunachal with the story of Nani in my heart. As I keep on saying that whenever we deal with so many situations which are not ideal, but I think these people, through their stories, teach me what life is all about. I try and put some music onto it and then share the stories with all of you to make you realize that life and music and life, they're all one. If we can just step outside our homes, be a little more tolerant, unlearn a bit, you will hear music everywhere. All you have to do is listen. I will end my today's session by saying that I'm very, very, very proud and very, very happy to share with you. In fact, you're the first people that I'm talking to about this, is that on October 1st, I start an epic expedition where I'm cycling down the Ganga, right from Gangotri to Ganga-Sagar, a distance of around 3,500 kilometers. It's a journey which I always wanted to do. It's a journey to discover the river, the journey to discover its people and its stories, and of course the music along the way. It's one of my dream expeditions. I will be reaching Kolkata around November 2nd and 3rd, but you will get to know if you follow me on my social media, and I'm sure you'll get to know the newspapers. What I'm also doing in this expedition is that many of us who have lost their near and dear ones in COVID times, including I lost my father last month. We didn't have any closure. We didn't see any body because the hospital doesn't release the body, and it's taken away straight to the crematorium. And it's a very amazing, strange feeling not to have that closure. So I'm going to basically request everybody, and I'm going to start a social media campaign where if you know anybody who has lost somebody in a COVID times and not seen them, you can actually send me your photographs. I'll give a number, that person's photograph. I will blow them all up, and where the river meets the sea, Ganga-Sagar, I'm going to put it all in the sand and put flowers there and give it a closure. Of those many photographs also will be my father. I'm sure somebody's mother, somebody's father, somebody. And then I will kind of release these photographs into the water. We need a symbolism. We need some kind of a closure. And I think this journey is an attempt towards that. And I hope I have your wishes for that. And thank you once again for inviting me and allowing me to tell the stories, and I'm handing this over to Mrs. Roy. Thank you.
For sharing amazing stories, and you have ignited in us the urge to do something more for the society. And I have a few questions.
Sure.
So I'll take up from our members. Our committee members are very diligent. Whenever we invite a speaker, they do a lot of research and they give
Lovely.
some of the questions. So I'll
Lovely.
begin with one of the questions from one of my committee members. What would you consider most challenging aspect of composing music?
The most challenging aspect of composing a music is to alienate the greed that everybody should love the song and what is right for the song. I think that's a dichotomy that every one of us, at least I keep on facing. In Bangla, there's a word called chomok, and we are all victims of those chomoks. And I think the biggest struggle is to kind of control that chomok so that the composition remains a composition.
Great answer. Yeah. Then one more. Can you kindly tell us about the instrument Ravana Hatta, which you have already narrated in some of your interviews? How you came across it, also the story behind it.
Oh my God, that's a whole talk.
Just in brief.
Yeah, Brahmanatha is basically a traditional Rajasthani folk instrument. I'd heard that. I'd heard that in Shonar Killa. Shrutujit Ray's Shonar Killa. That was the first time I heard it, and it kind of haunted me. And I just wanted to. I'm sure you have understood this by now about myself, that I rarely operate sitting in a room. I have to be out in the open. I have to travel, and that's where I think life is, and that's how I embrace it. So similarly, of course, I was very, very young that time. I was in college, but I kind of seeked out and went to Rajasthan. And to cut the long story short, is that I met in the station where I disembarked at 3 o'clock in the night, a person who knew how to play the Ravanatha, who later on I realized was a dacoit who was being taken to Tihar jail in Delhi. And it was an incredible night listening to that person play with his hands chained. And then he said goodbye and went. So it's Ravanatha for me has a incredible nostalgia, because I think that is one incident which told me that there is adventure in life and music beyond closed doors, and if you need to go beyond, I think that is one incident which helped me with that.
Very interesting story. Yeah. And how would you like to relate rhythm to life?
Well, I think you put your hand on your chest, and you will know that rhythm in life. The heart will beat. The heart will beat with a tempo. The heart will be the rhythm. The day the rhythm stops, life stops. So I think it starts very basic.
Very true. Very true.
Human being is meant with that sense of rhythm is within us. Again, all you have to do is just listen to it.
Right, absolutely. And does a particular tune or raga haunts you? What are the factors that you think help you compose such amazing music or songs, rather your source of inspiration while composing?
So partly it's God's gift. I genuinely believe
Very much.
composition is a God's gift. That's one part of it. But left, of course, is you all have to work on it. I think my biggest inspiration for my songs is the stories, like I'm sharing with you, people's stories. They are my palette. They are my sur. They are my tal. They are my tapestry from which I inspire. That triggers off an imagination, triggers off something, and so I think it's people and the stories is what's my biggest inspirations.
Absolutely good. Yeah, and what do you think about the future generation? We have so many talented musicians, composers, but a very few have made a mark for themselves. We still cherish the old melodies. What would you like to say in this regard? Are the immortal melodies continue to reign because of the lyrics, tunes, or the legendary artist of the yesteryear, or do you see the ray of hope in the future, in the horizon?
These are not questions; these are all philosophy.
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
there's a painting behind me, if you can see. That painting is by one of my favorite friends. Um, his name is Gulzar. It's his first painting that he's ever let out, and I'm very proud to have it. And why I mentioned this is because Gulzar keeps on telling me one thing, that he said when I wrote my first song, Mora Mora Gora Rang Laile, Me Sham Rang Laile, he said everybody had said that you're changing the form, you're becoming too progressive. And he says that every decade deals with this. We seen then was great, but now we're going not the right path. And every time it happens, I think I have a very different view on this. I think today's generation is fantastic. They're
Absolutely.
amazing. Their talent is
Yes.
incredible. Their focus, their what they want to do, it's all there. I think we need to be a little patient with them. Even when we were their age, we were just like that. And the great thing about anything artistic, anything music, art, it's like water. It keeps on changing its shape. It changes its form. If it did not, it would cease to become art. And I think that is why, that is why, trust me, you'll be surprised what our children listen to when they're alone. Uh, they don't say it, they don't show it, they don't express it. What we hear outside in the marketplace is not a reflection of what our children want, by the way. That is a complete market induced situation where businessmen are dealing with art. uh, that is a whole new debate. But what our children are listening to is fantastic stuff, and the range and the kaleidoscope of different styles that they're listening to is just amazing. All that they need to learn is to be more social, to be more interactive, and not just be sitting on the front of the computers, because they've all created their small homes in the computers, because the computer doesn't come out and say that "Eta corona," but don't do that. I think once you reach out like I did and go to Rukmabai,
Right.
and when she tells you to
Absolutely.
stay in the night, that's when you start learning music. And I think that's the only place where I think they are lacking. They need to step out more, a lot more.
Absolutely true. And as we all believe in the philosophy, the change is the only constant.
Totally.
And this year, our lady study group's theme is also adaptability, agility, and ingenuity. It is with change, we have to adapt ourselves to the changing times. That is the
Absolutely.
only way we can go and move ahead. One last question before I artist whom you have thoroughly enjoyed working with, what about Tagore's compositions? Would you like to experiment with them?
Actually, I did experiment with Tagore's compositions, not composition, but Tagore's thing. I did a thing with Gulzar, which Shan and Shreya had sang, called Gulzar Translates Tagore. My biggest problem is because Tagore was a composer, I have no work. So, and I wouldn't like to arrange his stuff. That's not exciting to me. But I, as a composer, think what did he as a composer think? How was he looking at things? And that's why even Purnita was pretty much the way I composed the music, the way I would thought that Tagore would have done. And I keep on doing that. And I think he's a tremendous inspiration, but we need to take the story forward.
Right. Thank you so much for
Thank you so
being
much.
with us. Now
Thank you
I
so much.
will request our Vice President, Sucheta Mayor. Sucheta, are you there?
Yeah,
Yes, to give the vote of thanks. Yeah.
a very good
Sucheta?
evening and namaste to you, Shantanuji, and
Namaste.
everyone here. You have been our inspiration in so many different ways.
Thank you.
Shantanu ji, you make us believe that music happens in stories. However, you made popular jingles and became a musical genius yourself. 100 Days in Himalayas is such a delightful outcome of your need to regain perspective in life. Every song of yours has a wonderful story, and you dazzle us with them all.
Thank you.
You awaken our empathy towards these not so known talent, and we are in awe towards jewels like Rukma Bai. A lot to learn from this rock star, about this rock star, thanks to you.
Thank you.
Your deep love of folk music and your story of Nani's Junoon to love kids anyhow has again made us all aware of the fact that we need more passionate people like Nani. Let me end with All Is Well, your catchy melody, which is more like a celebration of life forever. And I want to wish you all the best about your dream expedition. Can't
Thank you.
thank you enough for being with us. Over to
Thank
you, Smitadi.
Well, Shantanu, your contribution in the world of music is incredible. We are mesmerized by your musical compositions. Music is food for the soul. Music connects people and makes everybody happy. Music improves creativity, improves overall health and the life quality. As an artist, you are a crusader to make a change for a good earth. We admire you. We are inspired by you. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you once again,
Thank you
Shantanu,
so much. Thank you
for
so
being
much.
here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.